what's up? My name is Daniela and in today's video I'm going to talk about my 5 recent reads. The first book I'm going to talk about is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. So I think most people know what this is about. This is a young adult contemporary about 2 teenagers who have cancer. I only started reading John Green's books last year when I read Looking for Alaska and Turtles All the Way Down, and I enjoyed both, especially Turtles All the Way Down. And I was hesitant about going into this one because I knew that it was going to be sad, like obviously. But it was actually a pleasant surprise because it wasn't all sad. The main character, Hazel, is very matter-of-fact and sarcastic about her illness, and I really liked her as a character. I think that the thing about John Green's books is that you either relate a lot to his characters or you have no idea what he's talking about, and I am the kind of person who really relates to his teenagers. I mean, there's this scene where they bond over an improper use of a word, which is something that would totally happen to me, and I think it definitely has happened to me. So overall, I really enjoyed this book. It resonated with me, so I give it 5 stars. Next I have When We Were Orphans by Kazuo Ishiguro, and I have really conflicting thoughts about this book. So this is a historical fiction which is set mainly in the 20s and 30s, before the World War II, in London and also in Shanghai. So the main character grew up in Shanghai, but when he was a little boy, his parents disappeared and he was sent to Britain to his relatives. Later he became a detective and he was kind of climbing the social ladder in London. And as the war is approaching, he returns to Shanghai to find out what really happened to his parents. Now, the main character was not likable at all. On one hand, he's really self-conscious and he overanalyzes everything, but at the same time he's weirdly confident about himself and he thinks that he knows everything the best. Basically, throughout the whole book, it seems that there is something really wrong about his self-portrait and how he perceives himself, because there are times when he meets an old friend and the friend is like, yeah, I remember that you used to be kind of a loner and you never really fitted in. And the main character is like, what? You're crazy, I was always really social and stuff. And this happened several times. There are a lot of flashbacks to his childhood where he understandably overanalyzes everything that happened right before his parents disappeared, and he's trying to make some sense of it. So while the story seems interesting, like Shanghai and mystery, I actually didn't find the story that much interesting while reading it. Also, as the war is approaching, the main character thinks that once he solves the disappearance of his parents, he can save the world and solve the world crisis, and people around him seem to encourage him, you're the detective, you should do something. But I just think that Kazuo Ishiguro is a really great writer. I have read Never Let Me Go by him and I gave it 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, although I don't remember much about it. Obviously he's a good writer, he won the Nobel Prize. But although the story wasn't exactly my cup of tea, I was really impressed by the structure of the story and his writing. So I ended up giving it 4 stars. The next book I read is The Curious Case of Benjamin Button by Fitzgerald. And this is a rare case when I was kind of interested in reading a book after having seen the movie. I saw the movie a really long time ago and I don't remember much about it except for the main concept, but I remember that I cried my eyes out at a cinema, which is something I really don't like to do. I didn't have any great expectations about this book because I don't like Fitzgerald that much. I didn't like The Great Gatsby. For me, the book ended up being nothing special, except for the story, which is really good. But the writing is kind of plain and the characterization is not very good. I didn't connect with the main character at all. I thought that he was kind of a dick, which I think he wasn't in the movie. I don't know. This is only a short story, it has about 65 pages or so, but still I think that it could have been executed much better. So yeah, not impressed, but I still gave it 3 stars. Next we have My Not So Perfect Life by Sophie, Kinsella, and oh my god, this book. I thought that this was going to be only a light fluffy read, but it ended up being more. This is a contemporary about a 26-year-old Katie who grew up in the country on a farm with her dad, but she always wanted to live and work in London. So currently she's living in London with crappy roommates and her commute to work is more than 1 hour, and she's doing some mundane task on the most junior role at the firm. She's in marketing and design and she thinks that she is good, but like nobody cares about her ideas. And she's kind of disheartened because the life she leads is kind of hard and she didn't think it would be this hard to make it in London. But she has her Instagram feed where she presents the perfect life in London, like you can imagine what that looks like. And then there is her boss, who is named Demeter, and Katie thinks that Demeter has it all. Like, she has the great job, a husband, 2 kids, a gorgeous house. She goes to these cool events and Katie can't imagine what could possibly be wrong in her life. This was a quick, fun read, but it actually also made me quite emotional because I could really relate a lot. Katie is 26 and I'm currently 26, and although our stories are not like the same, there were some stuff that I really understood. I grew up in a small town, so I really understand the tension between the two worlds. Like, there are misconceptions and prejudices on both sides. Also, I worked in an office environment for a few years, and just all the office like gossip and drama, I've been there. I liked Katie as the main character, although there were a few things that bugged me about her. For example, she was trying too hard to impress people and she was kind of denying who she really was. She created this whole new personality for London and it didn't really work. And she was ashamed to admit like that she cannot afford some things. Also, she was maybe a bit too naive for her age to not know that everything comes at a price, but she learned her lesson and I was really satisfied with the ending. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book, it really resonated with me. I gave it 5 stars and I really recommend it if you want to read something about a 20-something who's trying to make her life work. And the last book I'm going to talk about is The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. So this is an adult thriller about a woman who has a severe case of agoraphobia, which means that she cannot go outside. And she spends her time watching her neighbors, being online, watching a lot of black and white suspense movies, and like taking and not taking her medication and drinking a lot of wine. And one day she witnesses in the house across the park, but the problem is that nobody believes her. The writing in this book is absolutely amazing and I really liked Anne as the main character. I believed her most of the time and I was rooting for her. This book is really atmospheric because she lives in this huge, I think 4 stories house, and she watches these black and white movies, so sometimes the reality and fiction blend together. The twist was really unexpected and shocking for me, but for me it wasn't only about the twist. I really enjoyed the whole book, reading about Anne and her story, and when we learned what happened to her before, it was really brutal. I really enjoyed reading this book, although it was really intense. Like, when I reached, I think, half of the book, I wasn't really in the mood for so much intensity, so I actually read the whole Sophie Kinsella book before finishing this one. But I think that it's really worth it to read the whole book, even if the first part can be a bit slow at times. Yeah, I think this is a really great thriller, amazing writing, and I really recommend it, and I give it 5 stars. So yeah, that is all for this video. Let me know if you have read any of these books or if any of them sound interesting to you. Like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this, and I will see you next time. Bye!